From palace coups in the lost city of Hattusis to treachery in the Egyptian court of Tutankhamun, I, the Sun, the saga of the Hittite king Suppiluliamus, rings with authenticity and the passion of a world that existed 1400 years before the birth of Christ. They called him Great King, favorite of the storm god, the Valiant. He conquered more than 40 nations and brought fear and war to the very doorstep of the 18th dynasty Egypt. But he could not conquer the one woman he truly loved. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hambar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Janet Morris's I, the Sun. I, the Sun is a 1983 biographical novel by Janet Morris. I was actually originally, interested in this novel because of the name itself. It is a first-person account of Suppiluliamus, which I'm probably mispronouncing, who is one of the greatest kings, generally considered the greatest kings of the Hittites. Now, it is a biographical novel, so it is essentially a biography, but written as a novel. So as far as that goes, it is very impressive because these events took place over 3,000 years ago, closer to 3,500 years ago. And so these are largely really real people, and it's pretty expertly done. And I know about Morris from her Thieves World stories, actually. But we do have a lot of stuff going on here. So Suppiluliamus is a name he takes when he becomes king. So he is not known as that at the beginning of the story. We have things like authentic magic here, as it is only foreigners who practice magic. Of course, there is an equivalent for the Hittites, but it is just religion, since it is, native to them. This is a very political book, and it does not have any of the later Christian sensibilities. In that sense, it's very barbaric and civilized at the same time. But of course, that's just the nuance of human society. So it seems really different at times, and then not different at other times. It's really well done, honestly, and it's really interesting to know. And this is, like I said, a biographical novel. There are actually sources at the end of the novel, and I believe most Hittite experts have actually highly praised this book. The focus on the Hittites and others, and not places like Assyria or Babylon and Egypt, I think is really cool, as it's not something I've really experienced before. The Hittites are more of a thing that get passed over and get like a mention in like a Bible study, and that's about it. So, but this, as mentioned in the intro, is actually contemporary with Tutankhamun, or as he is known as Tutankhaten initially, which is cool that it talks about that upstart religion. And this is actually a little later in the book, as Suppiluliamus lives longer than King Tut, as it is. So the story is long, though, since this is a rather busy and long life, though there are times where time is swiftly glossed over, and other times where very little time passes with much happening. It's also quite emotional at times, even though there are double standards, to be honest, that cause some great grief, which is kind of the line about, the woman he loves. You can't conquer her, right? But in a lot of cases, regardless, these standards were still these Hittite standards, so I still felt for both parties in these personal conflicts. There are also very many characters, and there are a lot of love interests. There are a lot of children and other relatives and foreign powers and servants, and it's a lot to take in and to remember. It's a little tedious because of that, and that actually kind of tones down the enjoyment of the novel. But again, since it is based off a real person, and it's not really it's not trying to be fake, it's not trying to be false. So again, it's a positive on that, in that respect, but it's not like the most enjoyable thing I've ever read before. But that being said, it is pretty cool, and it's a great experience. I think if you want something like some ancient historical fiction that's a little different, then check this one out. Janet Morris is a really good author, so And the audiobook is narrated by her husband, so that is also really well put together. So anyways, this one, Williams Lyceum. Have you read this book? Have you read any Janet Morris? Let me know. I'll catch you later.